All right, good evening, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started with our program. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's one of those times where we want to bring people together. We're here to do two things. One is to really commemorate National Black HIV/AIDS Awareness Day. So if you're here and you don't know your HIV status, please come and get tested tonight if you want to get tested. And if you don't want to get tested tonight, come back tomorrow. I'll be here. I can test you tomorrow or Friday. Hello. But if you have not gotten tested, please make sure that you get your HIV test done. You can do it tonight. If you can't do it tonight, you can do it at another time. But we're always here at the center, so you can provide get tested at another time. And the other thing we're here to do is really to celebrate Black excellence, primarily in the LGBTQ community, because there have been so many years that I've gone to Black history programs, and there was no one that talked about people who are LGBTQ. Every now and then they would give the obligatory Bayard and Rustin, but that would be about the only one that you really talked about. So we're trying to give you like some clarity in terms of some other LGBTQ community people who have been doing things, who have done some courageous things, and who have done achievements that they've done for our community. So we're going to talk about different people tonight. So that's a part of the program. Another part is really camaraderie and family, meeting people and talking, that type of stuff, because we don't have enough opportunities to really come and connect with each other. So this is also an opportunity to do that as well. So greetings and welcome. Thank you so much for attending tonight. Hopefully everyone has a program. You do great, because Zahne Williams is going to come up and he's going to do our African flag. So give it up for Zahne.
Yes, Zahne.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope that everyone does have the program, because as I read it out loud, I'm going to ask that you read it along. But can everyone please stand as I read? We are African people. We will remember the humanity, glory, and suffering of our ancestors. We will honor the struggles of our elders. We will strive to bring new values and new life to our people. We will have peace and harmony among us. We will be loving, sharing, and creative. We will work, study, and listen so we may learn so we may teach. We will cultivate self-reliance. We will struggle to resurrect and unify our homeland. We will raise our children for our nation. We will have discipline, patience, devotion, and courage. We will live as models to provide new directions for our people. We will be free and self-determining. We are African people, and we will win. And we will win. And we will win. Hotel.
Bravo, bravo. Thank you for joining in on that. Now we're going to have Lift Every Voice and Sing from Ederick and EraEnsemble.
This is going to be a congregation. All right now. So let me tell y'all this. Oh no, we got to sing. Trey, come on. Come on, Trey, sing. Come on. We're going to lead the congregation. We're going to do this congregation. This is the national anthem for our African American people, which was written on the grounds of D4 Memorial University by a brother of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity. You heard that? I just wanted to. So I'm going to ask everyone to stand.
raising the roof off this place. So thank you for your participation. I really do appreciate it. Next thing is really the program on the occasion. It's really about to talk about the African Americans, especially the Black LGBTQ community. We're really here to make sure that when we are talking about our community, that we're being as inclusive as possible, because so many times we forget the B, we forget the T, we get other parts of that. When we talk about the LGBTQ community, all of us, we're an umbrella, so therefore we have to make sure that we're continuously being inclusive of all of our siblings, not just the L, is not just the G, it's everyone else. So we're making sure that we continue to be inclusive of all of our brothers and sisters. And I would be remiss if I didn't bring our executive director, our CEO, Robert Bouie, up to just say hello, to greet you.
Well, greetings, everyone. I am so excited that we are all here tonight. Oh my God, there's people here. Praise Jesus. Well, again, I am so happy that you're here. I'm happy that we are hosting and collaborating with everyone tonight. Very exciting. Thank you all for coming. And stay safe. Keep your mask ready, because when you walk out of this room, you need to put it back on. But in here, you're all safe. So thank you. Take care. Enjoy.
Thank you, Robert. So I'm going to play a little clip. We're going to lead into the dedication. A part of tonight is really about to commemorate and to really talk about Bishop S.F. Makalani, MaHee. If you did not know him, you missed out on a great person. But we're going to talk about him tonight as well. So I'm going to show a clip of him performing. So therefore you get that. And then Christopher Bass will come up and do a dedication to S.F. as well.
Which one did you make it work more? Definitely not the house. Not only
I cried because I felt everything, every word, every emotion. I felt spirit in this poem. So this time I would like to bring up the one and only Bishop. Bishop, I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you. I'm blessed in mind. You like in your own world. So once again, let's respect the poet on the mic, on the floor. Thank you.
rights.
Some people trans, kids, and tattoos, and bad as a woman be. Look me on my journey. Look me on and on. Oh, Lord, I want you to help me.
Good evening. Good evening. Oh, y'all can do better than that. Good evening. Good evening. Yeah, act like you know. This really is an honest evening. When Lorenzo and I first had conversations about today, it was as if we had an excited moment. Because we knew we needed to recognize somebody, and we also knew spiritually that it needed to be Bishop. He's still with us, folks. His name comes up in conversations time and time again. And when people talk about righteousness, they talk about Bishop. They wasn't perfect. John could not walk water. He could not eat wine. He could feel sick. But he could make you feel. He could make you feel. You know, Bishop was in New York. And all of you know, Bishop was trans. And what's most important about Bishop is he transformed a community. Transformed a community, people. His voice was about the righteousness of LGBT people and respecting them. And the inclusion movement. And he challenged us as individuals who are his friends to not only embrace him, but to embrace, as he said in this short video today, the entire community. The entire community of us. Not simply the letters, but our ethnicity, our raciality, our craziness, and our sanity, our intellect, and our foolishness. Because guess what? That makes a difference. You know, a lot of people don't know this, but Bishop was one of the founding commissioners of the Unity Church, an all-inclusive church. That's powerful, people. That's not to be dealt with lightly. Bishop was yay tall, but actually stood this high. And so, you know, I have a drum of kids at home. It's about little kids. It's so much. But I'm going to ask you to drum. In the village, they heard the drums. And in the village, the drum brought information. And you know what's so unique about the drum? It's not just the Africans who beat the drum. but every group of men have given the drumming a special place in their societies. Every group. But we starved. We, the givers of life to the world's people, started in the Fertile Crescent. So as far as I'm concerned, you all are African. Bishop loved the drums, and he was a drummer of extraordinary talent. Bishop could hold stage all by himself, beating the drum and reading his poetry, his truth about who we are, but more importantly, his truth about who we should be. That was a drum beat that Bishop danced to. In the drum beat, we find messages like, it's time for y'all to come home. In the drum beat, we hear other messages like, there is danger lurking. And in the drum beat, we hear the heart of people from every nation, from all walks of life, saying that this is our rhythm. So tonight, in honor of Bishop, I ask you all to stand and let us all say to his spirit the words that he taught all of us in so many different ways. And the word is Ashe. Ashe. I don't hear you. Ashe. God bless you. And have your seats. Okay. Now, also in honor of Bishop, I was going to bust out my brother tonight, Lorenzo, and read something from his anthology, but I decided not to do that because he was staffing from this So I'm going to put that at rest, but I am going to take another couple of minutes. Because Bishop was a poet, and I lived in Washington, D.C. for about 40 years. I got a chance to know people like Marlon Riggs and Essex Timfield, and a whole lot of Black national LGBT leaders whose backs we stand on now. They were the first wave of freedom fighters for LGBT community. And you know, I wish I could find something that's totally Bishop, and I couldn't. But I know one thing about Bishop. Bishop loved love. Bishop loved love. Bishop had a lot of girlfriends. You know, but I did find one thing that I think sort of talks about that love and also that rebelliousness. So, just bear with me. I'm not the best poetry reader, but I'm going to do what I can. Cordon Negro by Essex Timfield. I drink champagne in the early mornings instead of leaving my house with a M16 and nowhere to go. I'm dying twice as fast as any other American. Between 18 and 35, this disturbs me. But I try not to show this in public places. Each morning I open my eyes, and it's a miracle. The blessing of opening them in temporary, or sometimes temperance, or just any little day. I could be taken out, I could go off, I could forget to be careful. Even my brothers hunt me. I am the only one who values my life. I am the only one who values my life. And sometimes I don't give a damn. My love life can kill me. 1981 through the present. I'm faced daily with choosing violence or a demeanor that saves every other life but my own. I want to cross over. It's time someone else came to me, not to patronize me physically, sexually, or humorously. I'm sick of being an endangered species. So, what are my choices? I could leave with no intention of coming home tonight. I could go crazy downstairs and raise hell on the rooftop with my rifle. I could live for a brief moment on the 6 o'clock news. Or I can masquerade another day through the corridors of commerce and American dreams. I'm dying twice as fast as any other American. So I pour myself a glass of champagne. I cut it with a drop of orange juice. After I swallow my liquid Valium, my private celebration for being alive this morning, I leave my shelter. I guard my life with no apologies. My concerns are small. My concerns are personal. Bishop, God love you. May He continue to bless your spirit in the high where we know you live, and we will never forget you. Yeah.
Let's give up for Kiowa and Christopher Bates. That was amazing. Now we're going to have a presentation from Hotspots. Jameer.
John, right here. Oh. Come on, JB.
Hi everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Jameer Baptise. I am the editor-at-large of Hotspots magazine, Hotspots events, and Hotspots art. The reason why I'm here today is because we actually at Hotspots are committed to the Black and Brown community. We started a rally called the Remedy for Rally at the height of the race tension back during the midst of the pandemic in 2020. And there we committed to internally to ourselves and to the community to constantly build Black programming for our community here in South Florida. One of those things that we've done in that time is we started a Black Excellence stage at our Stonewall Pride. We're the producers of the Stonewall Pride here in Wilton Manors. Other than that, we've done other programming like Juneteenth Flash Mob, where last year we had a flash mob event centered around Black and Brown excellence as it relates to music and dance. Other things that we've done are just showcase in our magazine the excellence that surrounds you here today, like Christopher Bates, Elimination, John Buckley, Kashai, so many names, so many people that have really contributed, Tatiana Williams, all of you. It's just amazing to be standing in your presence right now, because it's not because of just the commitment that I have, but the commitment that all of you have made to our community that keeps me striving to continue to do this programming. One of the last things that we did was a Black History Month event called The Cookout. And we wanted it, thank you, Kashai, one of our great supporters, Kashai over here. It was just one of our continuations, but it was very important to me that we do something in Wilton Manors to show that Wilton Manors as a city does have an issue with race relations, and that the city, our community, and Hotspots and local businesses are recognizing those issues and coming together to do something about it. So I really wanted to set a precedent and something that we could do annually to show that we're all working together to do that. Now, I don't want it to just be a moment of superficiality where we're just having a celebration. I also want it to be deeper, where there's policies and other initiatives to really bring home the message that we're all working together. So one thing that I also did was petition the Wilton Manors Business Association, and they haven't publicly stated it yet, but I want to just mention that they were kind enough and receptive to actually putting in place a policy for their members to also adhere to the commitment to our community as well. So all new members and existing members will sign a pledge saying that they believe in diversity among races, creed, ethnicity, and so on and so forth. And these are policies and rules and regulations and things of that nature that we also want to help and strive to commit to, not just having events, you know? So I want to make sure that everybody knows that our efforts amongst across the board with individuals sitting here and Hotspots, that it isn't just about simply having an event to show that, hey, we're doing something. It's much more meaningful than that, and I'm going to strive, I make that commitment to you guys and to the universe, that I'm going to strive to make sure that we do our best at Hotspots to deliver on that message. Other than that, thank you. Other than just having the event for a Black History celebration in Wilton Manors to showcase what the community is willing to do collectively, we wanted to make it a fundraiser, and who better not to donate money to, I'm sorry. That's my medicine time. Hold on, let me stop. No, but yes, who else other than to donate the money to? All the proceeds from the beverage sales of that evening would go to Ujima Men's Collective. An organization that mainly a lot of people cannot pronounce. Some don't even realize is a gay organization, but they do so much for our Black brothers, same-gender loving men who strive and work hard in this community to provide resources for them. So I want to say thank you to them, to actually agreeing to be our beneficiaries, and I want to present them the check of the amount that we made at the first ever, now annual, the Cookout, a Black History Month. Be remiss not to give a thanks to all the hosts that were out there. Many are in this room today. It's because of the hosts that we were able to raise $1,300 plus to go to the event. So I want to thank all the hosts that are here today and the ones that couldn't make it as well. It's because of you guys that this was possible. So thank you guys.
They support you, but they only support you in spirit and lip service. Because they don't give you any, because a lot of times organizations, especially grassroots organizations, we need funding to do the activities and things that we do. And this is an opportunity. They really stepped up and said, we're going to do this for the community, and they actually did, which is amazing. Thank you so much, Jameer. Thank you for your commitment to this cause. And now we'll move on to our first AfroPride. Is anyone here from? Okay, we'll move on. So the next, our first presentation will be from Onyx Deep South. So we will have a representative of Onyx Deep South to give information about the organization.
Thank you. First of all, it's an honor to be here with you this evening. So I'm going to tell you a little bit on Onyx. Because, you know, when we started this organization in 1995, a lot of people in the community said, black men can't do this, you are bound to fail. And a bunch of white men showed up, and we like our white men. They said, but don't worry about it, we'll show you how to do this. And we said, well, thank you very much, we appreciate that. But this is one of those times we've got to do this for ourselves. And we may make some mistakes, we may stumble, but you know what? This has to be by us, for us, and we'll be all right. And they were taking bets that, you know, well, let's see how long they last. But you know, that was 27 years ago. That is the thing I really want to let people know, that black gay men and our friends, we're part of this community, and we're not going anywhere. In fact, some of us think we're here to take it away. So, let me tell you who is Onyx. Onyx is an organization by, for, gay, bi, men of color. And not that we don't like everybody, but again, this is one of those things we have to do for ourselves. So let me destroy the very first myth. It's not about disliking or hating anybody. We don't dislike women, we don't dislike white men, but we had to come together and do what other folks do, love on ourselves. And we had to figure out how we could be our best selves and define ourselves for ourselves. It wasn't fair for somebody else to tell us who we are and how we're going to be, especially when it came to our sexuality, especially when it came to how we perceived and were presented in the world, especially with some of the things when they said, well, you know, you guys, this is a leather organization, so we've got some issues with some of the things that people do in the community. Every black man ain't ready to be whipped. And that triggers a whole lot of stuff. And so every black man is not necessarily ready to be submissive to another man because we've been put down so much. But we learned something about all of that and had to really figure that out and come to make our own peace with that. And that is, when I submit, it is by my choice. And nobody makes me do it. You can't make me do something I don't want to do. So if I submit to you, you consider yourself lucky. So why we did this was because we needed, well, you know, I'm just one of the people who was there in the beginning. You know, I was young once. And you'd go to the gay bars and they'd ask you for 3-4 pieces of government ID. And of course, who carries that around? But the white boys, they could just walk right on in. You know, and I finally realized, you know, they had these quotas of how many people with dark skin were welcome in the place. And so we decided that maybe we had to find and carve out a place for ourselves. Get to a place where we didn't have to ask for permission to go in. Get to the place where we could walk in under our own authority. And if they didn't want us in there, we could go someplace else. And if there were enough of us, they would want us there because we could show up and show out and throw a party like nobody else could. They found out that we were the party. And so we got to be welcome. And so one of the things that we had to work out was a relationship with our sisters. We wanted our sisters and our women to have the same freedom and power that we had learned for ourselves. But we also knew that we had no right to tell women how they had to be, who they had to be, how they presented. So we became big brothers to a sister organization. So there's an Onyx Pearls. And people get it confused. We are two separate organizations. We're brothers and sisters, sometimes father and daughter, sometimes mother and son, but we love and support and protect each other. And we want the same rights and freedoms for our sisters as we want for ourselves. So that's the difference between the Onyx Men and the Onyx Pros. We're brother and sister organizations, and we stand side by side, shoulder to shoulder with them. There are some myths about the organization. The first myth is, and I think I addressed that, is that we don't like other people. Well, that's not true. There were 5 of us when we started. 5 dark, melonly, beautiful black men. But 3 of us had white partners. So you know, it wasn't about disliking anybody. It was just carving out a space to love ourselves and figure out who we were in this complex sexual world for ourselves and without having anybody else, especially someone who didn't walk in these shoes and had these same experiences to tell us who and how we were. So we had to learn to do this for ourselves. So it was not about race. It really wasn't even about sex. And they think that a gay organization of men is all about sex. We are not, and have never been a sex club. It's nobody's fault we're sexy men. But sometimes you just can't help it. You are who you are. But you know what? We tell people to do this responsibly. We have some really important core values that talk about being safe, sane, and consensual with our sexuality. So we're not just out here doing anything with anybody. We're very careful, very selective, and not only about who we do it with, but how we do it. So we have a model that we try to educate our members about all the different ways that you can present and explore this. Then we want to empower them to do this correctly, safely, responsibly. And then we send them out with this knowledge, with this confidence, and let them explore. So our motto is to educate, empower, so you are better able to explore the fullness of your sexuality. You know, as men of color, we've been exploited sexually. We've been used, called studs and whatever, and maybe some of that's true. but the truth of the matter is, we have the right to do and make these decisions for ourselves, and we want that same for our sisters. No one should be exploited, and no one should be taken advantage of. And we are never going to be the ones to do that. We hold our brothers and our sisters to a high level of integrity, because if you wear this patch, you need to wear it with some pride, and you need to carry yourself with a certain amount of dignity. And our core values are critical to who we are as an organization, and it's critical to our members. This is a brotherhood, a sisterhood, and it's family, and it's chosen family. Sometimes much better than the family you can give it. So Onyx has 9 chapters. So I've got some Onyx boys, friends and sisters and family in the house. I just want to make sure I recognize them. Can y'all just stand up and be seen? Because I don't, you know, because sometimes we show up at the pack. I just want to make sure that this is family, and we support and love each other, and when one steps out, we got to be there to have their back. So we continue to do that, and that is one of the beautiful things about this organization. In 1995, when we started, we did not know what we were going to do. We structured our organization so that there was a place for everyone. Even though we wanted it to be, for us, biased, we didn't want our partners and our friends to not be able to be with us. So we have full members, and we have associate members. Those are our brothers and sisters, and any and everyone can be an associate member. Again, I want to make sure that everybody hears that there's a place in Onyx for everyone. Black and brown, people of color who are gay and bisexual men can be full members. But all of our friends, all of our community members can be associates. And we want everyone close. And when we have a family reunion, we want all our friends, our nuclear as well as our extended family together with us. So we want to make sure that. So there are 9 chapters, and I just want to give all the chapters a little shout out so you know that we're a national organization. And we've come from being a startup organization that people predicted would fail to 3 times in our 27 years being named the large leather club of the country, of the year. So we've won that award 3 years of our 27, and probably a few more in coming. So our first chapter was in Chicago, and that is Midwest. And so each chapter has a regional name, and so I will say the regional name and tell you where the chapter is based. So Midwest is based in Chicago, and I'm going to try to do these in chronological order so you can know how they were formed. That club was around 8-9 years before we had any other chapters. Not that we didn't have members all over the place, we just hadn't figured out how to not keep the mission from shifting. We thought about franchises, but then there are some core elements that every chapter has to have, and that is the membership structure. Our mission does not shift. Every chapter has the same mission, and every chapter believes in educating, empowering, and exploring. So after Midwest, there was Southeast in Atlanta, there was Northeast in New York City, there was Mid-Atlantic in DC, there was Great Lakes based in Detroit and Cleveland. We had Southwest in LA, and yes, I have a cheat sheet so I don't forget anybody. We have Northwest in San Francisco. We have Lone Star in Dallas. And here in Fort Lauderdale, we have
South.
Here in Fort Lauderdale, we have
Deep South.
Here in Fort Lauderdale, we have
Deep South.
So I just wanted to make sure y'all heard that. So there's some things that we do. We have a number of signature events. We decided that to be known, we better throw a party. So there are a couple of major events in the leather community. One is in Chicago, one is in Washington, D.C. So I'll be brief. So in D.C., they have Mid-Atlantic Leather. So we wanted to meet everybody, so we started having a cocktail party, which has turned into a Jewish show. And we raffle off and have a live auction, and we donate those monies to charities, and we've raised thousands and thousands of dollars for charity. Onyx is, and all of our chapters are charitable organizations. In Chicago, we just throw a party, and I know the major leather event. We just throw a dance, and it's an old school dance party where even old men like me can dance. And it's old school, and we were doing it at the host hotel till they put us out because we were taking it over. And they thought there was too much stuff coming in the hotel. And it started to look like a circuit party, and people who weren't part of the event were just coming in, and they were crowding the elevators and taking over the floor. So we had to move the party out. So I guess I'm out of time. You got to know I love this organization. I can talk about Onyx all
Thank you, my brother. Thank you for sharing so much about Onyx. Unfortunately, the next person is Terry Dyer. He was hospitalized earlier today, so he's not going to be here tonight. He's at home now, so he's recuperating, but he's not going to be tonight. So we'll move on to our first Black LGBTQ inspirational moment, and that will be from Ms. Gramita Goss, the Florida Department of Health and
Speak evangelist.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so very much for the invitation to be a part. When I received the invitation from Lorenzo, my eyes lit up because one of my favorite authors happened to be on that list. And this particular author actually was a big influence on me and where I am today. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. As he said, my name is Gramita Goss. I'm the Minority AIDS Coordinator for the Florida Department of Health in Broward County. And I'm here tonight to give you some information regarding Black excellence by way of author Elin Harris. Elin Harris, born Everett Lynn Jeter in Flint, Michigan in June of 1955. Harris moved to Little Rock, Arkansas with his mother around the age of 3. His mother ended up marrying a gentleman named Ben Harris, which they changed his surname. That's how he became Elin Harris. By the time he was 13 years old, his mother divorced his stepfather because he had been abusing Elin Harris for years. That didn't stop him though. Harris was one of the first African American students at Forest Heights Junior High and Hall High School in Little Rock, Arkansas. He became the first black male cheerleader as well as the first black yearbook editor while attending the University of Arkansas. After graduation, he became a computer salesman with the companies like IBM, AT&T, and Hewlett-Packard for about 13 years, living in cities like Dallas, DC, and Atlanta. Well, Harris had a friend, one of his close friends, and that friend had ended up being diagnosed with HIV. And in spending time with that friend and helping that friend through that process, his friend told him that there's a writer in you, basically. And so Harris began to pen his first book around 1990. He went and he tried to get published, but no one wanted to publish him. Everyone turned him away. So he didn't allow that to stop him. He quit his job as a salesman and began selling his book in and around Atlanta out of the trunk of his car, going to beauty salons or little mom and pop shops. And his book was doing so well that it ended up getting to Doubleday Publishing. Now at that time, Doubleday, their biggest author was John Rustin. And so when they called him, he was like, oh, you're John Rustin's people. And it just turned out that it all worked in his favor because Harris went on to write 16 novels, 10 of them becoming bestsellers, New York Times bestsellers. 4 of them receiving Blackboard, which is the Black African American, let me make sure I say it correctly, it is the Black African American Novel of the Year Award. And so Harris went on to then go back, the University of Arkansas called him back in to become a professor. Alongside all of the fiction books that he wrote, he also penned his memoir, What Becomes of a Broken Heart. In June of 2019, Harris did die. I want to say he passed away, which broke my heart, in July 23rd, 2009, while in Los Angeles attending a business meeting. But in June 2019, Harris was one of the inaugural 50 American pioneer trailblazers and heroes inducted into the National LGBTQ Wall of Honor within the Stonewall National Monument in New York City in the Stonewall Inn. And so why he stood out so much to me. So this first, I want to say that if anybody in here knows anything written by Elin Harris, you are going to understand where I come from. So this little black girl, I read a lot. I've always been an avid reader. But I was working for the Department of Corrections, fresh out of high school, 19, going on 20 years old, when I was introduced to Invisible Light. And here I am, this little black heterosexual girl. I come from a beautiful family. We always operated in love, but I will tell you that we in my personal space, my personal family, friends, I had never encountered anyone who was of the LGBT community. Just totally honest, never encountered. And so I didn't understand. I only knew what was being put out societal-wise. And when I read this book, I would be sitting outside the prison, right? So we're have posts, and we have like 4 different posts, one on the east, one on the west, one on the north, one on the south. You sit there with your gun in your car, making sure nobody's gonna escape. But I am tuned into this book, and I'm actually listening to it on audio. And I became so engulfed in the characters and understanding humanity and the humanity in it and the the struggle and the suffering of decision making on, am I gay, am I straight, I mean, this was a real person who didn't want to hurt anybody, but I never heard it like that or ever seen it like that. And by the time I got through Invisible Life, Just As I Am, I mean, I would cry. Literally, these books brought things to life for me. And so I left the Department of Corrections. I have been working in the field of HIV and AIDS and been an ally for the LGBTQ community since 2002. And so opening these books, Elin Harris and his magnificent way of storytelling was able to shed, in a fiction book, was able to shed a light on educating me, on helping me to understand that it's a human experience in whatever society, they got it wrong. They got it wrong. And I just love myself some Elin Harris. I thank you all for the opportunity. I am proud to stand here to tell his story. And if you haven't read anything by Elin Harris, I recommend that you start with the trilogy.
Hello.
Invisible Life, Just As I Am, and Abide With Me.
Yes.
Listen, you have to start with those. But he has 16 others. You will not fail. Not one of them will fail you. Not one. The way he tells the story and expresses experiences, it brings it to life. And so I thank you. I am so proud to be able to stand here and present and talk about one of my favorite authors, somebody who touched my heart and my soul. And I'm proud that he was a part of the LGBTQ community and shed light on for me. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. I mean, again, when we start to realize that the LGBTQ community, we're just part of it, we're just like other people. And I think that sometimes we get people who are outside of our community, they get so caught up in like what they do as opposed to who we are. And that becomes the issue. So we'll move on to our next presentation, which will come from the Transinclusive group. I think Ms. Adriana Tender will be presenting for the Transinclusive.
Hello, brothers and sisters and friends. Hello. Giving honor to God is my favorite. Oh, I thought I was at church.
You can speak.
I'm just playing. I want to thank you so much for inviting Transinclusive here. It's an honor. So I am going to be talking about someone very special. And I wrote a little something, and I hope you like it, and you can get active and follow the place where you think you should. I was born August 24th, 1945, in Elizabeth, New Jersey. I had 5 siblings, and my father was an assembly line worker at General Motors. My mother was a housekeeper or a household technician. I began wearing dresses when I was 5 years old, and decided to stop when I was raped by a 13-year-old boy. I was raised up in Mount Temon African Methodist Episcopal Church, and I was known for saying, I got married to Jesus Christ when I was 16 years old in high school. Who am I? Marsha P. Johnson. I was described the idea of being gay and thought of it as some sort of dream, rather than something obtainable and being possible. My mother said that being homosexual is like being lower than a dog. My mother also told me, she said that you better find that billionaire boyfriend or husband to take care of you because you're going to be out of luck. I graduated from Edison High School in 1963 and left home at 17 years old with $15 in my pocket and a bag of clothes. Who am I? Marsha P. Johnson. I waited tables after moving to Greenwich in 1966, and I began hanging out in the streets near the street hustlers on Johnson Street at 6th Avenue and 6th Street. I was known for saying that my life has been built around sex, gay liberation, and being a drag queen and a sex worker. Who am I? Marsha P. Johnson. The Johnson came from Howard Johnson on 42nd Street. And the P, I always say that it meant pay it no mind. And on the thoughts of gender, I'd say pay it no mind. I recall being in a courtroom one day, and the judge actually let me off because she thought it was funny when I said pay it no mind. I've been known to be gay, a transvestite, a drag queen. I guess somebody might say that I'm gender nonconforming. Who am I? Marsha P. Johnson. I used to love to do drag. The style of drag, it wasn't high drag or show drag, but it was inexpensive drag because I couldn't afford it. I used to sleep under the tables where they used to sort the flowers, and they would give me the leftover flowers, and I would love to entertain people with the shows. Who am I? Marsha P. Johnson. I was known to be generous and warm-hearted and saintly, they would say. And then some people would say that I had a short temper and I was aggressive at times, even violent. Some even thought that I was a little troubled and maybe possibly schizophrenic. Who am I? Marsha P. Johnson. They give me credit for the Stonewall Uprising, and there are many stories that have been told. Some say I threw a shot glass at a mirror, and I said, I got my rights. They say I climbed up on a lamppost and dropped a bag with a brick in it on a police car, shattering the windshield. Others say I wasn't there at all. Some say that my mental state and me being gender non-conforming could have hurt the cause and could have effectively been used by the movement. Who am I? Marsha P. Johnson. I joined the Gay Liberation Front and was active in the GLF, Drag Queen Caucus. I marched in the first Gay Pride rally a year after the Stonewall Uprising in 1970, and it was called Christopher Street Liberation Day. Who am I? Marsha P. Johnson. I was most notably and direct active in a sit-in protest at Weinstein Hall at New York University alongside GLF members, after administrators decided to cancel a dance because they were organized by gay organizations. Who am I? Marsha P. Johnson. Silva Rivera and myself co-founded STAR, Street Transvestite Action Revolutionaries. We were visible presence at gay liberation marches and all other radical political actions. In 1973, the Gay Lesbian Committee banned us from participating in the Gay Pride Parade. Whoa. The audacity of that. So you know what I did? I decided that we were gonna march in front of them anyway. They said that we weren't gonna let drag queens at the marches because they were claiming that we would give them a bad name. When I was asked by a reporter, why was I marching? I said, darling, I want my gay rights now. Who am I? Marsha P. Johnson. Sylvia Rivera and myself also established Star House, and it was a shelter for gay and trans youth in 1970. Do you know how we paid for it? Does anybody have any ideas? We sold our asses, and that's how we paid for it. And we made sure that we had food, clothing, and we had emotional support and a sense of family for everyone that was there. In July 6th in 1992, after a gay pride, They found my body in the Hudson River. Who am I? Marsha Q. Johnson. Thank you so much.
No, I'm not Marsha Q. Johnson. Thank you so much, Adrian. That was amazing. There's a lot of stuff I didn't know about Marsha Q. Johnson.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Next we'll move on to the Rapha Center. All right.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening again.
Good evening.
I'm so excited to be here tonight and to see so many familiar faces. First of all, I heard there was some signals in the house, so I have to do this, right? Thank you to no. Thank you to my fraternity brother, Mr. Lorenzo, for being part of the greatest fraternity in the world, AfroPride.
Hello.
Incorporated.
Hello.
Ain't okay. All right. So we're gonna try that one. My name is Justin Jones, and I'm the president of the Rapha Center. And this is Michael Mapp.
My name is Michael Mapp. I'm the vice president for the Rapha Center.
And we originally started as an HIV prevention company. However, we have what we call Think in the Brain, and we do everything that affects our community. So whatever you think is happening in our community, we have a hand in it. And we're so excited to be here tonight. And we are here to present Andre Leon Talley.
Commemorating him and his legacy by wearing Afrikan tonight. Andre Leon Talley was born October 16th in 1948 in Washington, D.C. However, he did grow up in Durham, North Carolina under the Jim Crow era.
HBCU graduate.
Yes, sir.
HBCU.
He was raised by his grandmother, Bonnie Francis, and his first fashion experience actually came from Sunday morning church services and wearing the hats that the women wore to church services. He discovered his first Vogue magazine at the age of 9, and after discovering the magazine, he traveled to North Carolina Central University, where he graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree in French literature. He also graduated in 1972 with an arts degree in French literature from Brown University.
Okay.
He worked unpaid for Diane Verlaine at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in 1974, and impressed by his skills, the Vogue editor arranged for Talley to work for Andy Warhol's Factory Interview magazine, where he earned $50 a week. Becoming the chief bureau for Paris Women's Wear Daily magazine in 1975 into 1980, he also published for New York Times and Ebony magazine. In 1983, he landed his career at Vogue, where he worked as the fashion news director until 1987, and became the magazine's first gay African-American male creative director until 1995. During this tenure, he pushed top designers to feature more black models during their shows. He left the position as creative director for Vogue and returned to work in Paris in 1995, and returning back to Vogue in 1998 to continue his tenure until 2013. His most noted accomplishment was being style advisor for First Lady Obama, and he styled her for her first Vogue cover, which is the cover here. And it was noted for that. And in 2010, he also became the first judge, or one of the judges, on the America's Top Model television show. And in 2013 and 2014, he served as the international editor for Numero Russia, I said it right, will resign after an issue due to anti-LGBT laws.
All right, so he faced a lot of discrimination growing up, a lot of racial injustices, and you know, his sexuality was also in question. But he never really openly talked about any of these issues. So he wrote a book, all right? And if you want to know about his life in detail, that's about his book, all right? It became a bestseller, New York bestseller. So he was actually ranked number 45 in the 50 most powerful gay men and women in America. But the funny thing about it was he didn't like the term gay. All right. Wendy Williams actually interviewed him, and he said he's not heterosexual. He's not saying he's gay. He's saying he's sexually fluid. All right. So y'all take it how you want. All right. As Michael stated, his sense of fashion and a sense of poise and women beauty, female beauty, and what it should look like came from church. His grandmother, like Michael said, was a church woman. And took him to church regularly, and that developed his sense of fashion. Everybody, also I'm a teacher by trade, we both are. Everybody say legacy.
Legacy.
Say legacy.
Legacy.
Legacy is always important, right? What do people remember you by?
Yeah.
All right, so actually when I was outside, someone said, oh, you're doing Andre Leon Kelly, and I said, yeah. And they said he was a fashion, what is it?
Icon.
A fashion icon, or fashion designer is what they said. And we all thought, or we all think that he was a fashion designer, but like Michael said, he actually wasn't. He went to school for journalism, and he wrote his way into fashion. All right? And because of his journalism, his writing abilities, it spanned 6 decades, and that put him in a position to become what we call the fashion icon. All right? He was not an actual designer, but he knew every designer. So any of y'all that have any of these designer colognes, clothes, everything was influenced by this guy. All right? As Michael said, he was infamous for fashion. He wore things that we don't normally see. And so Michael, so you can imagine this. There's a 6'6" guy walks into a room with all of this stuff on. You're gonna look, right? And he meant to make it that way, to look to see what black excellence looked like to a person that was not allowed at the door. So they didn't let him in the door. He tore the roof off and got to see what he wanted to see. All right, he advocated for diversity, as Michael said, in fashion shows and in Vogue magazines. If you look back, there wasn't much African-American representation there. So when he got in position, his main focus was to diversify Vogue magazine and any other publication that he wrote for. And we see, like Michael said, he was on various celebrity TV shows, and that's what he did for us as a people. All right, you can open a magazine now. We didn't only have, oh, is that David? Hey, David. We didn't only have Jet and Ebony. You know, that's what we had on our kitchen, our mom's tables, because that's what we identified with. But he made it so that a black boy and a black girl can look in the Vogue magazine and see representation. All right, this was one of the last photos that he had taken. Unfortunately, he died on January 18th. Due to complications from COVID. And of course, the loss of Andre Leon Kelly is felt in every fashion arena around the world. Thank you so much, Andre Leon Kelly.
One of the things that we do with the Rapha Center is Rapha means to heal, and our goal is to go into the community and heal the ills of society. And so whenever we leave our presentation stage or whenever we leave our empowerment sessions, we leave by just shouting the word, be healed. So if you just join us tonight on the count of 3, we're just going to shout it out. 1, 2, 3. Be healed!
Thank you, Rapha Center. I just watched the documentary on Andre Leon Kelly. It was amazing. Learned so much about him. Next, we'll have a Black LGBTQ inspirational moment from Timothy Bouie, who is a part of the Gentlemen's Collective. Come on up, Timothy.
Lorenzo already would give me my sign because I'm a little slow about getting up to speak, but once I get comfortable, you'll know it because it goes on and on. So, Lorenzo, I'll go ahead and start. First of all, my name is Tim, and I am a part of the Virginia Men's Collective group, and I want to tell you a little bit about how I found the group. But before I do that, because I noticed everybody had LGBTQ people that they were honoring, I would like to just stop and honor you. Because I saw the love when I walked in here, and the hugging, and the how you're doing, and the shaking your hands, and the embracing. To me, you're the hero. My hero, at least. Because I found the group as an addict beaten down, believing I don't belong anywhere. I don't know if y'all know Tim McCormick. You know Tim, right? He was the one that said, why don't you go to BrothasSpeak? And I said, well, I don't know. See, number one, I didn't know anybody like me. I grew up in a Christian home, private Christian college, degree. So I never saw, quote unquote, a gay black man that wasn't called a sissy or beat down or discriminated against, because I was one of the bullies. See, when I come to speak, I come to tell you my truth, but that's all I got. Okay. I don't have anything but my truth. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to go to the group. I talked to my partner about it, and he said, well, why don't you just go check it out? Have an open mind. I'm like, okay. So, of course, I think every man in the world want to hit on me. So I'm like, no, when I go there, they're going to be trying to get me. And I don't know how to respond. And he was like, Tim, just go to the group. Sometimes I just have to be told, shut up and just do it. And that's where I ran into my mentor, Mr. Lorenzo Robertson. I love that man to pieces. I know he's married, people don't get it twisted. But I love that man. There's not much of anything that he asked me to do that I won't do. And that's because he embraced me in the group. And he said, Tim, don't worry about all what you used to be. You just come and sit back. And I saw more people come to the group that looked like me. I thought those groups were just for professional people with their lives together, and I could possibly have nothing in common with them people because I was trying to get mine back together. Or was I wrong? As I continued to go to the group, I began to meet more people. I began to get okay with me. It took some time. And so when I walked in the room tonight, it was like I've known y'all all my life. See, that's that power that we have that I didn't even know we had. Real quick story. And I'm going to hopefully demonstrate how far I've come. See, I've come a long way. See, the worst enemy around is what I keep in my head. Use the expression, that bitch will kill you. Okay. She'll beat you down. Have you believing in things that are not true? Nobody likes me. I won't fit in. I'm too much of a sis and my voice is too fluid.
Bring.
Lorenzo in the group, the LGBTQ, I'm learning the letters. Get a little stuff. But they taught me that I'm okay just the way I am. I'm none of those things that I was told. So Lorenzo asked me last year to come and work for him. I'm like, Ruth, are you sure? Are you sure you want me to come up in there? Because you know how, Tim, do you want to come in and work? So I got to shut her down. Yes, I do. I did some HIV testing and reporting with Lorenzo. In other words, I learned through this group I can walk through my fears. Some of you are aware last year I had a panic attack right in the middle of the presentation. But it was the group. And he's not here, he's a designer. Help me remember Dion. But I don't know his last name. Jefferson. All I could hear to distract me from the panic was, "We got you." See, folks, that's the power of the group. Group have flaws, absolutely. I'm about to cry up here, so I'm gonna have to shut it down. All right, that's it.
Okay, you know, Lorenzo and I have known each other at least 30 years now. Wow. At least 30 years. I was about 8 years old.
And he was about
He was a grown man trying to get me to go get in his car. But my mama and daddy had warned me about that. I didn't get in his car, but I took the cookies. Now, I just want to take a moment, you know, a lot of people contribute to the life we have in this community. But, you know, I'm going to be real selfish right now. Welcome to the Pride Center. I know Boo came up and greeted you guys earlier. I'm the chair of the board. That shows you Black Power! I'm the chair of the board, and I want to recognize the other board members who are here tonight, because they don't normally come out. So, board members, please stand up, and show your hands. This is great to have you guys here tonight. There's one in the back there. Show your hands. Thank you. I also want to recognize the fact that, you know, when Lorenzo started bringing black men together to share their lives, and I really want to be clear about your understanding what I'm saying here, to share their lives means that we could talk to one another, and we could take the mask off, we could let the wall down, and we could be our natural selves. And BrothasSpeak did that both in the Palm Beach area and is still doing that here in Broward, here at the Pride Center. So our president of BrothasSpeak here in Broward, Mr. Rustin, please stand up. Let people see you. You know, there are people in our community who contribute, and they keep low.